You know, one thing that I'm noticing for sure lately is like that there just seems to be, even with all of Razy's picks here, it's pretty big consistency between like players that have as much playtime as possible on champions that they're how do I say, well, they're good at, or that they have as many references as possible, even on different maps. For example, like lately, he's been picking a lot of DK, especially on like Vale and CK specifically. Like he's just like first picked it, or just like let that be his go-to, and just kind of like be a force for nature, trying to like expand the pool. I think in that way for him, and Rafa's kind of done the same, but I think it kind of just like stopped maybe about here. But he didn't really have many other options up until map 3 of like different champs he could play. Um, Although he could have picked Keel, but he didn't, which is interesting. Still I haven't, Konya, no. I did see this match during the time live, but no, I haven't really looked back to see it as it was. I mean, like, how do I say? Decipher it piece by piece. I'm more curious actually about this CK.
What better way to do it than grand finals?
Too easy, Backo. Have a good one, dude.
This is the opportunity. At this point, you have your two stellar star champions in pole position. This is definitely Wenger's star child at this point, going in the grand finals of the winner bracket. Nevertheless, we're backing Keep, and Rafa has to show us why he is near enough the quad father, as you would say. And can he show us those so obvious champion qualities once again?
Decent damage from Razy. He has to double back for the armor, and that cost him a little bit more as the dual wield pop from Rafa.
See, a lot to do has to do with momentum, I would say. Even like Rafa using ability in that moment to get through LG there to potentially get to the heavy, but I guess he was too slow.
Never in a combo you want to hear.
Brutal damage from Razy to take that first frag, but now after everything's taken, he's only down to 90 points of health. Heavy's going to be the first item up. Rafa just eating so much LG around the corner. Does have dual wield back up as Razy doing a good job of playing defensive. 30 HP. Here's the cutoff again. Is it going to work? Razy turns tail and runs to the Mega.
Rafa reluctant to push in once again, and he learned his lesson the first time. Nearly connected with a flame strike through the window. That would have been a Jordan moment, but actually just missing Rafa as he goes on through. Razy capping on down. Rafa comes on through, but somehow...
So this is a perfect example. This is what like Razy is very particularly good at. Is like, how does he manage to defend? And this is all about like both Wenger and Razy do the same thing with like perfectly timed rockets in the most inconvenient positions. Like, there's no real reason why Rafa should lose this, but look how close. I mean, it's a bit fortunate because I think, how does it happen exactly? I think if Rafa has rockets here, then maybe it doesn't end so abruptly like this. But Rafa thinks that he's at the time shards, and the timing of this rocket is just too close. Because he's literally just standing like at the door, so the rocket is basically instant. And that's what fucking just demolishes him. Where he does 30 damage, basically, to Razy. And on this map, that's so fucking, like, it just fucks you that hard. But even though it was bullshit, it was actually because of his positioning. And he took advantage of the fact that, like, Razy is very fucking fast at doing shit like that. I noticed, like, just being able to flip positions, or understand the strength of certain things by being able to reverse, and he did that there.
3-0, pushing for this heavy. Rafa will definitely have an appearance as he knows the deathknight.
Yeah, they're down at the moment. Oh, what's up, Spud? I didn't even see you.
But with that flame strike up, Rafa will know that's up. Got to be a little bit more careful.
Razy playing so well. The defense, as you mentioned on map number 1, looking extremely strong. Those rockets So brutal.
So there's an interesting moment that happens here too.
Might just be trying to
So Rafa's going to have...
through the TP, but with that flame strike up, Rafa will know that.
I mean, Razy... I have to see exactly what happened here, but like... doesn't go through the TP, avoids us taking any more damage and like keeping his stack. But because he does this,
Gotta be a little bit more careful.
he just has to be careful of like moving through mid, which is why he goes back here. But Rafa has mid control with the mega advantage, and now Razy's like stuck in this corner. So what potentially Rafa could do here, which is already going to be tough because Flame Strike and Defensive Rockets is going to be hard, is he wants to like creep onto the other side of the map while not getting just like annihilated by Razy sitting at a corner, which is already going to be hard to push. So he has to like take his time if he wants to pressure the heavy. So let's see if he does. And he has like 15 seconds, so he actually has time to do it. Which is what he's doing now. He's like making sure that he's creeping, but just like checking his angles and just not giving himself, not just like running in like an idiot, or he instantly die like he did at the first top armor shot. And what's especially important here is that he needs to do it straight away. Because the faster that he does this, he has more time to push Razy out of positions and potentially get both items if he can just like get Razy into an awkward spot.
Rafa trying to figure out exactly where Razy's hiding, and Razy.
And this is what he wants now. So he wants to see if he can go back, keep pressuring as much as he can. And now how can he get to the mega?
Fortunately, not really landing any damage there. Takes a rocket.
He wants to get both.
Cornered a little bit. Flame strike just to buy some space. But
This is
instead
perfect
turns
for
into a
him.
Machine gun on machine gun fight. Rafa going through the flames. That's going to give Razy some tracking. And now Rafa after the mega pickup. It's a mad dash for the heavy, and unfortunately can't thread the needle with that rocket.
Yeah, the opening mid-range damage.
Now I'd be curious to see like if Rafa actually does push through this door here. And because he notices that Razy's not there yet, he knows that he's not in mid, so okay, he has to be like he's going to be in like the main canal in mid, or he's going to be at this top armor. So he doesn't know for sure. That's why he's kind of looking. Again, same thing happens. That was such an awkward battle. But look at the position that Razy is in. Because this is like such a awkward... Your crosshair would never be placed here. It's like, why would ever you just turn the corner and you'd be thinking they'd be in a different spot. And this kind of like makes the battle as 50-50 as possible. So at least it'd go for a reset, whereas otherwise it would give potential for Rafa to just like outposition him and do that. But this kind of just like makes it as even as possible. If you were to stop Razy from doing this, let's see.
Heavy and unfortunately can't thread the needle with that rocket.
Yeah,
I'll show you something. If you were to stop Razy from sitting in this little corner, you would jump on this little... On the other side of the mega, there's this little ledge that makes you able to jump here. But the problem is that you just don't know where Razy is with respect to this room. So you kind of just like have to let him have it. The other thing you can do is like just spam rockets at the corners. But this just takes so much time and so much mental energy to even just like have to play so clinically in this. And that's why Rafa just pushes in, at least I think so.
Going to be one of the deciding factors. And at this point in time, Razy's getting the slight upper hand as he caught it once again, just around the corner. How does he keep doing this?
So 50-50 and the armor is still up.
Nice defense, but the trade comes out.
But it's going to work better for Rafa because he has LG.
It was a rocket jump off of Razy's face. Now, can he catch him out at the heavy? Big rocket, flame
Nice.
strike comes out, a little bit more damage, and he's going to get that heavy.
Burning away. Where does Razy spawn? He actually gets the nail gun spawn, comes flying on through, but
That was actually not bad by Razy. Even though he did die, he took a risk. But the most important thing is that he did enough damage, which is going to let like Razy at least potentially do something off this next. If he does nothing, let's have a look.
Heavy, big rocket, flame strike comes out, a little bit more damage, and he's going to get that heavy.
burning away. Where does Razy
So right now he's about like, well, he's 100. And if he takes no damage here, he'd be 160 and 50. And let's say Razy just dies, does literally fucking 0. Then on this next spawn, it kind of means that it's like harder for Razy to really do anything. He doesn't have any kill potential. He's just gonna have to like play pretty defensive. But because he does enough, so now he's like 143. But Razy's also very similar, and well, we'll see what happens there. And Razy instantly just pushing straight off rockets to try to keep pressure on the map. He knows that if Rafa wants to have a similar stack, he has to go for this armor. Razy's going to have high ground advantage, and he's going to have position over this heavy.
Razy needs to make his way across to that beloved lightning gun, but Rafa
Okay, now they're equal stack, but Razy has a little bit more. But Rafa has LG.
Taking both weapons away from Razy at this point. Has got a rocket though.
Okay. So Rafa's going to hopefully get heavy for free.
Now Rafa has the map.
Now, how can he get to the heavy and get the heavy and go straight to the mega as quickly as possible while taking minimal damage? And the fact there's only 6 seconds, he doesn't have much time. He's gonna have to pick a route. If he had more time, he could kind of like play with it a bit, but he's gonna have to potentially just go for something. So he goes to the low grounds. Nice flame strike by him, so he just confirms him the item. But this is the advantage. So Razy doesn't have his ability. He's going to get the mega, but now Rafa has just a decent amount of stack, but he has his ability, so he's going to be able to do something. Maybe Rafa's going to potentially do something at these time shots, because he knows he's going to go to the low ground. Okay, sweet. Let me just take mid position and try to like catch him while he's trying to take mid position now, which is what he does.
Razy thought that he could catch him out there. Now instead, Razy's stuck.
What's really strong about what happened here?
Lockdown. So what is Razy able to do on this next mega?
Flame strike will miss.
Sorry, let me. I'll turn it off and I'll close the door in a second. What's really strong about what Rafa's doing is that he's moving so fast to this position,
More aggressive.
and it's so hard. Like Razy doesn't even know he's fucking here yet until now, because like he literally jumped outside of the sound range, and while Razy was going through TP, Rafa was already still strafing in there. That's why he gets this.
Razy thought that he could catch him out there.
But look what Razy does. Because Rafa is trying to trap him on this left side of the stairs, Razy pushes forwards with Rocket, and this allows him to kind of... That direct is pretty fortunate, but all he was really hoping for there was like just something to push him away, and he got heaps of value.
Now instead, Razy's stuck. Good.
And then he's in better position with the HMG. He has to go away. Lol, Rafa's face.
In the machine gun, right to the chest of Rafa.
Okay, now it's a race to the heavy. Raze is going to have position, but Rafa's going to have LG and the teleporter, but no ability for Razy. If he manages to like still win this somehow, I'll be pretty impressed. But technically, this should be really Rafa's heavy.
But Rafa also knows that heavy's first, so dual wield shotgun, is it gonna land? Shotty Pippin back into LG Razy.
But this is what's so important is...
First, so dual wield. Good defensive rocket. Huge in the machine gun. Right to the chest of Rafa, sending him.
Let's have a look at this scenario specifically. If you're in Rafa's position, he doesn't have... Let's say if he uses rockets here, it's really hard to still kill Razy or like or make sure the rockets are super effective. So he sticks to what's consistent, which is like shotgun and a little bit of LG here too. You can't really use... I mean, nail gun and starting machine gun not going to be too effective. But for Razy, even though Raf is using his ability, he actually always has a chance. Because again, it's like they're both running past each other. It's very random what happens. And so it's all about just like who has the slight edge in understanding how the fight is going to go. And that's why, like, even now when he drops, he's very low, but somehow this was always like... At least in my mind, this is always a potential for it to happen, because it's very hard to secure the kill in this fashion, and that's why that's how the game flows. But he has the pressure. Okay. So now, Flame Strike or not, again, this is like kind of what CK in a nutshell. If you start hitting your opponent instantly, look how fucking quick he starts having to back off. Like right now he's already so low that Rafa committing to this is already super risky. But the reason for that is because Rafa gets to... Razy makes sure that when Rafa engages, he starts hitting him straight fucking away. If Rafa gets to the low ground and just like doesn't get hit at all, Razy just dies, basically, I would say.
He's gonna push for this heavy and go all in. The flame strike over the wall. What a play!
And that's actually potentially why DK is so strong in this map, because it's so much to do with position. It's so much to do with like trying to hit people in really like I don't want to say awkward ways, but sometimes it's hard to get the damage you want, because they're gonna have to give you the angle of walking into a spam rocket, or giving you the hitting like 50 damage of LG. Usually those times there's mistakes by your opponent, or not hearing them that they're coming. But the Flame Strike kind of gives you this extra, like a mini tri-ball, especially on this map, which forces people away and just gives you like an extra element that other champs don't have. Even though dual wield is super strong, yeah, it's just like giving you an extra utility, and it's like allowing you to win more items. That's why he won that Mega before, because he just used it. He didn't even do any damage, just fucking pushed him away.
Pushing on through, he's got the lightning gun in hand. Rafa's pushing back out.
But now we're playing with scraps, and this is exactly what the game is all about. When you're actually trading weapons and trading items the way that it should be, it's hard for Razy to close the kill, but yeah, it'll always be this close. I would, in essence.
Rocket launcher off the spawn. Fortunate for him, he is weak though. Razy knows the timing. No.
Okay, again, similar stack.
Fortunate for Rafa, but he hasn't got a lightning gun. He's just going to use this time now to try and reset. Razy waiting on the mid ground though.
So now, can Rafa defend the Mega for 5 seconds? Not particularly, especially because he's too low. So Razy can basically do anything coming into this next Mega.
It adds up 40. It really does.
I would have just said potentially using rockets engaging here would have been better, but I guess maybe preferential. I would have used rockets instead. Especially when you have such a significant stack advantage.
He wants the frag first. Plants Rafa in the boneyard.
No, kill switchy. I'll just do it whenever, really. I would have actually be playing right now if I could be.
What does Rafa need to do? Maybe those rockets is exactly what he needed here.
He needs
Yeah, exactly, Evimatic. Well, he's just really good understanding of those positions.
Every time he goes into Razy's combat zone, every time he goes run into another.
But what could Razy do better here? He just doesn't expect Rafa to be pushing so fast.
He goes into Razy's combat zone.
But again, it's very even.
So there needs to be more work done before those engagements, and this is what we said about the Death Knight. I mean, you might have a 2.
This rocket really fucks Razy. This one, see what happened here.
This is what we said about.
Is Razy trying to get a little bit too cheeky with the tri-ball, just trying to get any damage off, and he notices that Razy's is standing at the door, because he kind of just pokes in like this. A bit fortunate, I guess. It's hard to say exactly why Razy didn't just push to the left, but I guess this one rocket. This is why CK is such a volatile map, because this one rocket basically Razy's too low that he will die instantly. Oh well, maybe I'm wrong. I should be. Well, he gets away with fucking murder there, I think. Okay, nice. Also, roof rockets, no pun intended. Rafa fires the rocket at the top. Just even doing any damage, especially on a CK where it's so hard to trade with people. If you can do fucking anything to someone, especially when they're this low, well, you do get a lot of value.
Wow. That is such great awareness by Rafa to get the ship down.
I think here, maybe Rafa didn't know the timing exactly, but I would have just stood on the item. Because if you're going to die, you're going to die. But that being said, he does only get away because of Flame Strike. This is where it gets bad, because he just does use ability.
Razy aggressive with the LG taking another frag. This is getting out of hand, Dan.
I don't even understand how he does so much damage with so little angle. I don't think Rafa does either. Because also Rafa's not using his dual wield. Razy's got free use of these hourglasses.
Now it's kind of like...
Again 40. It feels like
I don't know about super over, but it's pretty hard from here.
Every fight, every second fight, there's a flame strike for Rafa.
I will do, dude.
It's absolutely insane to watch. This is definitely a performance worthy of Razy. Razy's keep
Oh,
as Rafa
no,
just trying to
Rafa.
deny items and cannot do it.
I mean, now at this point, Rafa has kind of no choice.
Already, and that is
The thing is,
unexpected.
it's
He jumped
because it's so hard to
just
trade
Razy
on this
was
map
falling on it, which of course he was.
um,
He's jumping in once again.
without taking damage yourself. So it's at the point where like Razy basically has to fuck up really bad, because every time when Rafa will go for a kill, he will always do enough damage that he'll refrag or perhaps get control afterwards.
Just to keep Razy away here. Can Rafa get in on this Mega? It's going to be a big one here as he lands a decent rocket with the LG from Razy.
Again, this is actually probably the moment actually I even realized, I remember during the VOD, I mean when I was watching it the first time, just how this even functions. There's no weapon in the game that would do that. I mean, even if he's using Tribolt, it doesn't explode this close. And let's say if he would use LG, perhaps, like, it's still hard for Razy to get the kill because Rafa would just slip through his fingers quite easily. But the Flame Strike just makes him commit. It's kind of, obviously, works similar to like a Ranger Orb, but yeah, similar functionality. Just gives him like this extra potential to push people away. And that kind of, look how low they are. I guess if he avoids this, then Rafa will just kill him potentially, but yeah, gets him the frag.
I can taste the fire.
Spicy. It's caliente there.
That's a Nando's very hot right there, and oh, Razy is on fire. He has to forfeit this heavy though.
Well, I think what you're saying, Old Bear, is that Rafa just has such a good, Razy has such a good understanding of flipping positions or doing as much damage as possible. That, well, especially on this map, it's quite tough.
Default to this very patient play. Heavy's up, and he just does not even want to be seen now.
Got a fighting
One right here. Why not? We're going to start off on Razy's POV. To stomp him out in 3, and we're going to start off on Razy's POV.
speed and power. That's what Sorlag brings. Starting up
See 1 second,
strong,
boys.
by the rocket information turret more than anything, just to understand what the hell's going on, and also to set up that trap as he drops right on down, pecking out the lizard from the air. Big damage coming out from Rafa.
No worries, King Cat.
Rocket to work with, so has to play the wrong game, and of course he hits a rail on the way out.
Why not?
Okay, cheers, Jay.
The heavy. Oh, was that a steal? I don't even know.
Now, this move in particular, it's actually really good by Razy what he did, I would say. Even though it's quite risky.
Why not?
Maybe he was actually a little bit too late, but what do I want to say? You know, sometimes in tournaments, people play too. You know, you don't take enough risks, and it's really, you don't want to play too crazy. This is probably a little bit too crazy on the move list, but you definitely don't want to play too soft either, because if you play without risking anything, you will just, I think you'll just kind of lose eventually, because your opponent will just get all the items. This is probably a little bit too much, because it's too close to call. And as you can see, they're basically both standing on it, and even Rafa gets the fucking item. So, but manages to trade there.
Alright, well that's the start you need as Rafa. At least you're not down one at this point. Also gets a good spawn picking up.
Okay, so now what does Rafa do? He already has his side of the map. He basically has all the weapons he needs. Maybe get Tribolt and Shotgun. Maybe he will try to just defend the rockets here, or LG. But actually, Veil is even a bit of a confusing map for me. It's not always clear, especially because abilities are really useful with reversing or retaking control, especially around top and mid. So that's what Rafa's doing. He was trying to see if he could hear him coming from LG or Rocket. Does just enough. All he needs to do here is just shed any excess heavy from him picking it up. Because what's going to happen, and this is like literally as statistical as it needs to be, when Rafa gets the Mega, he's going to be able to replenish his heavy while still maintaining his Mega stack as much as possible. Whereas if Razy takes any damage, he's not going to be able to... He's still going to lose this, but yeah, Raph is still going to have this better advantage because when he takes damage, he's going to lose less of the Mega than Razy is of his Heavy. But he has 6 seconds to defend. Razy is trying to see if he can push him any angle he can, and Raph is just listening for it. Yo, Cliff, not doing too bad. So again, listening out.
Figuring out what pathing he wants to take through the telly. Here's the fight. A little bit of spit damage that's going to send Rafa packing, but he's going to grab the Heavy. Still ticking away. That's going to give Razy tracking and full information on exactly Rafa's whereabouts.
Razy playing is very tempered to start with, but that's also because Rafa's done a great job of bottlenecking the map.
But Rafa getting eventually his weapon when he realizes that he can't go for this Mega. So let's see what he does. But the trade rail really fucks him here. Perfect by Rafa. What he does, I mean, anything to delay, basically to do any damage to Razy as possible before the fight has even started. So before Razy's even entered the room, and this is really critical, because he knows that Razy has a stack, even though he has the turret to defend. Before they've even started trading, Rafa does 70, and now the fight starts. And again, this is probably a little bit dangerous by Rafa because he has too much time. Razy has 7 seconds to play with his food, while Razy's on the item. Pretty unfortunate, I think he just fell. Same thing again, very subtle. Notice that when Rafa pushes through here, he has rockets out. I mean, that's pretty much... There's not many other weapons you could really use, but he uses rockets here because if he uses shotgun and then Razy's far away and hits a rail, that's bad. If Razy's like mid-range or close range, then the rockets are going to be good. If he's far away, he has potential to do something. Definitely not going to use rail because if Razy is sitting here, he will just fucking destroy him. So he's like, just thinking about when you're moving around the map, I feel like rockets are the best way to be safe. Sometimes circumstantial because if you do too much self-damage, you'll just actually kill yourself. But Razy is like low enough that maybe he would die in 2 rockets or use rockets of his own and do self-damage and also die. So it'd be a mutual if Razy would stay.
Has to concede the Mega and Razy stack looking so healthy yet again.
Yeah, Razy will want to be bullying Rafa off this Heavy. That's why Rafa's there early. This bit comes out. The rockets are really good from Rafa, bouncing Razy around. The lightning gun is also great, but Razy...
But what actually happened there?
Maybe that's why Rafa's there. Maybe that's why Rafa's there early.
Rafa's gonna get knocked off. He's gonna get close with the shotgun.
Sorry, 1 sec.
Extremely weak and no LG. The rocket from down below will not land in Rafa. Missed opportunity. Has to concede the Mega and Razy stack looking so healthy yet again.
Yeah, Razy will want to be bullying Rafa off this Heavy. That's why Rafa's there.
This is why CPM champs, especially against rockets, are so strong. This second rocket, this one, 0 damage, and this is what this is how subtle or how volatile the game can be. This one rocket that does 0 damage then puts Razy into a position which is like arguably favorable. If Rafa does enough damage here, then Razy is like committed. He's hard committed to a position that he's not going to win this Heavy. But because this rocket does nothing, all of a sudden, Rafa's now like a little bit trapped because he's behind this pillar, and Razy has potential to get the Heavy. And so now we'll see what weapon Razy uses. It's sure no there. It's like as close as you could get it. Razy just survives on 20. But both of them used the weapons they needed to. I guess could have also used rockets, but LG also works.
Yeah, and the spit there, that extra 20 damage. All the difference here is Razy still weak. Rafa waiting on top of this Mega does have Timmy to deploy. if necessary. Here's the low
Okay, so Razy just wants to have spits for this next with the next heavy.
There's more spit. Big rocket for Razy, stuck in a bad way here. Rail on the way out, as you said, Dan, just maximizing damage constantly.
Yeah, those small details can pay off big in the longer run. Because of that rail, you can see Rafa has to forfeit the heavy once again. Dropping the turret down by the rocket launcher, making its way to the Mega. Also, again, very early, every single time here. Not entirely sure what the game plan is. Because of that, you can see Razy come barreling on in, and might even get the frag.
Let's have a look what just happened there.
Not entirely sure what the game plan is. Because of that rail, you can see Rafa has to forfeit the heavy once again. Dropping the turret down by the rocket launcher, making its way to the Mega. Also, again, very early, every single time here. Not entirely.
This is interesting by Razy. I mean, he rocket jumps and switches straight to LG. No, actually, sorry, he fires a second rocket. Now, the second rocket puts Rafa out of position, switches to LG, which makes his LG easier to connect. But what's most important about what Razy did is the angle in which he even rocket jumped. I mean, none of these things, like, this is all just like reactionary to what you think you can really get away with. I don't think Razy's really playing this step by step, but just look what happens. He rocket jumps on the same side in which Rafa is standing, which means that when he fires his rocket, it's just a little bit easier to hit. Imagine if Razy rocket jumped from the right-hand side and tried to fire a rocket. It would, not necessarily that Rafa would dodge that rocket, but he would just have more time. But the fact that Razy rocket jumps from the left side, and look how close his rocket is, basically, it's almost undodgeable because it's so fucking close. Pushes him forward, and then it's fucked.
Uncharacteristic to see Rafa almost playing passive around the item. You want to see him.
Yeah, let's have a look. Where can I learn the locations of the map? I think there is actually somewhere, Jay, but I don't know what website it is.
Cutting off that potential for Razy to come jumping.
Did Rafa actually already review his finals?
Yeah, it looks like he's just trying to hatch an egg on some of these items, and it's really costing him here as the heavy is up, and he can't even get any damage as Razy is in and out with that massive stack after the heavy. Here's a cutoff, not a great initial rocket here. Throws down the turret, 32 HP. Can he get past?
Well, apparently.
Was the spit used for Timmy?
Yep, the spit was used just to delete Timmy.
Well, sometimes you got to spit on Timmy. I don't know what to tell you, Dan. 3-2. We're 1 minute away from being halfway through. Again, Rafa, tournament life on the line, has to win this and then 2 more. Razy in pole position to win this and go to grand finals from the lower bracket side, and spit again. It feels like no time has passed and he has spit up again. Just really doing a good job of using those vials. What a rail into a rocket, but he can't finish it. Razy picks him out of the sky and survives with a
Rafa, like, what the fuck happened there too? Let's see.
And he has spit up again.
Hits the rail through the grates.
What a rail into.
This one's kind of tough. I mean, I think what Rafa should have done is just committed to rockets, but to do that in this scenario is very hard because mentally it's so automatic that everyone switches to rail when this happens. But notice he hits the first rocket, and he just doesn't have enough time to switch to rail because I guess Razy has... well, and again, this is as subtle as the game is, right? When Rafa comes to the TP, Razy fires the first rocket, so he's what I would say, like, ahead in the combat. So when Razy fires the first rocket, whatever happens now, let's say if they both switch to rail, which is what they do, Razy always has, like, you know, let's say 100 milliseconds advantage, or just... He fired the first one. Rafa has to, like, turn his crosshair to fire his one. And by the time this happens, it just gives him enough time, and you can see, Rafa did change to rail. But in this case, look how low Razy is. Just committing to rockets would have been the right choice. But to do that, it's like, it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Razy picks him out of the sky and survives with 11 HP to claim yet another mega, another fantastic rail from Rafa, missing out on an opportunity there.
But again, look what... Now, this is what's really interesting, is because... So a lot of players, sometimes when they play ranked, Or just like when they, I noticed that people sometimes just like push too much all the time. But the difference between like what, let's say, pro players will do compared to like other players that are learning is that they don't realize that when pro players are pushing, that their opponent is so fucking low that it just like that it actually, that it actually makes sense. Whereas a lot of the time, like other players will push, and their opponent's super fucking healthy. And it just doesn't make sense, and that's how you lose games. But here, the lower if Rafa does any fucking damage to Razy now, it really makes Razy question if he wants to contest this next heavy, and makes it that much fucking harder. So that's why any damage that Rafa gets is great, because he already has a stack advantage. He will potentially have the position advantage if he can get to the TP before Razy does. And, how do I say? It's all about like subtle decision making there. I don't think Rafa would have pushed through the TP if, one, he didn't do any damage to Razy, or two, he could get to the position through the TP before Razy did. He wouldn't do that. Otherwise, if Razy is already there and has rockets and has the defender's position, the stacks are too close that Razy would just kill Rafa, or it would be a mutual, and it wouldn't really favor Rafa. I think it would be very even.
Absolutely massive rail from Rafa though. If he didn't hit that, he loses that heavy. That keeps him in the game for now. You can see him pushing in, and he's actually being incredibly aggressive. Luckily hits that rail once again. He's going
nice
through. And now you can feel the aggression coming out from Rafa, keeping the tempo high. This time he's got good timing on the Mega Raise. He tries to steal it away, but doesn't make it all the way up. Gives away the... Got good timing on the Mega... Incredibly aggressive. Luckily hits that rail once again. He's going barreling on through.
Now we'll see the case of perhaps when it doesn't work, because even though Rafa is not in position now, there's just not enough damage that he did. Rafa has too much stack that when it happens, even if he would have gotten the Mega, it just would have been too much for Razy there.
Gives away the tying up frag. Make note of that. Aggression at 5 minutes. Is it going to come back to haunt Razy? He wanted to end it there and steal that Mega and just deflate Rafa, but instead Rafa working with a full stack, full run of the map now. Turret in hand as well, just on the hunt. He's going to catch out Razy, but Razy with a fantastic rail.
At the moment, it's the reads of Rafa against the aim of Razy. Completely tracking Razy like a book all around the map.
Okay, so what does Rafa do now? After he's done applied pressure? Well, he's keeping track of what Razy's going to go. So he knows that like Razy is not 100-100. He was 150. Rafa collected what he needed on his side of the map, and he knew that Razy would either go to this LG armor, or he wouldn't be back to his natural stack, or he'd be going for this armor. Doesn't manage the trade, but now it's still going to be... Now it's... The fact that Razy hits an unreturned rail, this now heavy is like 50-50 for who gets it. Otherwise, if Rafa doesn't take any, he's slightly advantageous. If they trade, it's very hard for Razy to win this heavy.
Rafa's making him look incredibly fast. He's non-stop pedal to the metal, just understanding exactly where he needs to be at all times. But this might have been a mistake as he rocket jumps up early, and now he's been pushed up the item. Razy steals it away with 15 seconds to set up for this next Mega. That was a costly mistake.
Yeah, huge. As Rafa needs to turtle up now, waiting on this armor shard. Might grab these time shards to try and get Timmy back. That small tick of damage giving away Razy's position. But still, full run of the map for Razy here. 10 seconds till the next heavy. Rafa just trying to stay alive. Re-up on LG. Needs to be careful going through the telly. He's going to take big damage here. Now he's stuck in a terrible position. 17 HP. Razy.
I was reading chat for a second.
Yeah, uncharacteristically, Rafa's playing Razy very well. It doesn't feel like he's playing the map very well at this point. He's reading Razy like a book. His aim is on point, but he's not playing the items well. His timing feels a little...
Yeah, I mean, Kenny, you do have to work on the individual small things per time as well.
Yeah, it's a little absurd to see here as Rafa falling back after that rail shot, just getting initial damage, just hoping that he can get in on this heavy. Razy timing it right. Drop in and a little bit of tri-bolt actually.
Okay, so Rafa has a lot of control. He's got 10 seconds to play with Razy, or like, he has 10 seconds to get to the mega side of the map, as as safely as possible.
That's the signal to aggress, and Razy
I'm surprised he doesn't follow up there somehow. But this is the strength of Solag, because now it's really hard for Rafa to trap the Solag, because Solag is so fucking fast, especially with being able to keep momentum through corners like this.
You also have to respect the fact that whilst he's taking these items, Razy's also got that starting stack of the Solag, which is already sizable. And once again, he just jumps in.
Okay.
But the rockets!
Holy fuck! Look, this is quite quick. Look, even through the X-ray, look how fucking fast. It just takes like half a second. That is like the strength of Solag on this map, being able to do shit like that.
5-5. 2:10 left on the board. Rafa has to make this happen here. Rocket sailing by. Is the drop on the heavy going to happen? No, instead Razy's going to rocket jump up. There's the spit defensively to keep Rafa away, but not a lot of damage. Good LG from Rafa.
So well.
Stacks all things considered about even. Now
Sometimes rocket jumping for items is really good, but sometimes you can really pay because you trade so inefficiently. If you can do, like I said, the first rocket jump that Razy did was perfect because he rocket jumped where he still had good position to do damage to Rafa. But the second one that Razy did when he rocket jumped on the heavy on the Churro, he was so in such an awkward spot that any damage that Rafa would do is like so efficient. He would do so much compared to how much Razy could output because he's just like standing on the item. I don't know how else to really describe that, but like it's about efficiency. How much can Razy output as opposed to how much Rafa can output, and how much effect does that have on what's going to happen next? Okay, but Razy, 100 HP, but Rafa doesn't have any weapons.
No frigging way.
That was quite tough. Razy played really well there. And unfortunately for Quake, I don't know how else to really describe it. Those moments, you just can't, you know, that is the, that is like the risk of the game. If a player just does hit a lot, even in crucial moments, it is just too much to do.
Rafa might get the frag. He's taken a lot of damage though. Can he get the spawn and do something with 70 points of health?
10 seconds, he can't get the mega, he can't get the light, he just needs to fight and he can't find him, and that's it. Razy in 3 over Rafa, and the reigning champ has been knocked out in the lower bracket.
I don't know what to say.
GG.
I don't know what to say. The way Rafa played that ice...
Well, let us see what ZSX says.
Incredible. Like I said, I don't think his map control was that good, but it's also because Razy was playing amazing map control. But the speed he played the ice and made Solag look like a slug. Razy didn't know where to turn half the time, and when he was turning, he was met by a rail. But somehow, the clutch moments, Razy comes out with those 2 beautiful rails, finishes up with the frag, and extends his lead. It was just an unbelievable series, and Rafa started this tournament pretty rough, but he came out absolutely swinging with some of his best Quake so far. It was just that he coming up against Razy, who was playing incredible, and I cannot wait to see this grand final.